What's up, everybody? Welcome to Philly with John Marks on PHLY. Currently, with the sun, the sun is now shifting over. You can see the right part of my body, and it's going to be entering my eyes for a second. But because we didn't start this show until September, like late August, we've never encountered where the sun is, the direction of the sun on a March morning. And as the sun shifts, for the first time, we are now figuring out where the sun is going to be, because it shifted literally in the last 5 minutes. Because Tyler was just saying, like, yeah, wonder if that sun's going to be a problem. Yeah, it's going to probably be a problem. But listen, that's why I have the shady rays. I don't know optically if it's going to be a great look. But listen, what's up, everybody? Shout out to everybody watching live on YouTube. Our mad chatters that watch live every morning on YouTube. Good morning to everybody. We're live on a Tuesday morning. Philly with John Marks is always brought to you by Bet Parks and Central City Toyota. You know what, Tyler? If you move this light over, like this light to my right here, if you move it over like a foot, it'll probably block it out. And I don't think we'll have at least I'll be able to see. Because right now I feel like that I need to shade myself with my glove to catch the fly ball down at Citizens Bank Park. Yeah, over. No, this way. Boom. So I can actually see the sun isn't shining in my eyes. All right. Well, at least that works right there. I couldn't be more giddy. You know, like a lot of people will say, like, oh, you're always complaining about this or you're complaining about that. And like, don't get me wrong, when things are bad, I not that I like when things are bad, but I get pissed like a lot of fans do. And there is nothing to be angry about right now with your Philadelphia Eagles. And not just that. And like so it's like Howie had said when he was asked about winning a Super Bowl for the second time. And he had said, the first time winning a Super Bowl, it's like it's the first time that you're making love to a woman, right? You don't even really know what you're doing. You've never been there before, right? The second time, it's like now you know what you're doing and you've been there before. And now you know what to do afterwards. Or you can learn from your mistakes of what you did the first time, right? And I mean, I don't really know if what Howie is doing right now is directly because of that. I just have to look at what the Eagles have done this offseason. And I mean, I can't say enough about it. I couldn't be more jacked and pumped up about what this team is doing right now. Last year, their defense emerged. To me, it was the biggest surprise in the NFL was a very, not even an average defense, but to me, a defense that would top out at being average. Just be a top 15 defense, be a top third defense, right? So if you could be 12th, you could be 11th or 10th, that's perfect. They were the number one defense, and they did it with a cast of young, athletic, fast players. And you look at the guys that made contributions last year, and now Milton Williams has left, and he was a big part of that. But yesterday, the Eagles signed Azeez Ojulari. And if you know the name, you might have heard him in a Giants and an Eagles game. Because I know that I didn't hear him in any other games because I got to be honest with you, I didn't watch a lot of Giants games last year or see a lot of them on Red Zone, right? Azeez Ojulari. Say it with me, Tyler Zulli. Azeez Ojulari. Azeez Ojulari. Because I don't have it in the muscle memory yet, right? I need to look at it. And then it actually is pronounced the way that it's spelled, Azeez Ojulari. He's 24 years old. He has great speed. He has great change of direction. He is a pass rush specialist. He's not great against the run. He's good at containing athletic quarterbacks in the scramble game, is something else that I read and I saw on YouTube scouting of him, right? Former second-round pick from Georgia. Howie Smart. Yes, he played with the Philly Dogs, so now you have even a bigger roster of Georgia Bulldogs from those great defenses. Listen to this Eagles defensive line. All right, so Ojulari is 25 years old. He's a former second-round draft pick who just finished his first NFL contract. So second-round draft picks, they get the 4 years. They don't get the fifth year, and then they become free agents. And because of injury, and the Giants were still interested in bringing him back. They weren't interested in giving him a big bag because this was a 1-year, $4 million contract. But like the Giants were definitely involved in trying to bring him back. So former second-round picker just finished his first NFL contract, and he's on a 1-year deal. Josh Uche, former second-round pick, who's on a 1-year deal, right? You have guys that are being added to this defense that are young, that are hungry, that are athletic. And by having a great year with the Eagles as being pass rush specialists, they get 10 sacks they get 20 sacks between the two. They're going to be able to retire on their next contract. They can get 8, 9, 10 sacks apiece on pass rush specialists. Howie Roseman has made a pair of very smart signings. So this is where you salivate. Because the defense last year, one of the reasons why it was such a great defense was you got the young players that they drafted. Young, athletic, hungry. Jalen Carter, 24 years old. This is their age when they start the season, okay? Eagles defensive line when the 2025 season starts. Jalen Carter, 24 years old. Jordan Davis, 25 years old. Nolan Smith, 24 years old. Jalix Hunt, 24 years old. Moro Ojomo, 24 years old. Ojulari, 25 years old. Josh Uche, 27 years old. Patrick Johnson, 26 years old. Thomas Booker, 25 years old. I'll even throw Bryce Young in there, 24 years old. That's your defensive line. 24, 25, 24, 24, 24, 25, 27. And like the last three guys are developmental players. Thomas Booker actually looked good last year when he was pressed to play. He flashed more than a couple times, right? I think he's ready to take that next step like we saw from Ojomo last year, right? I mean, this is a young league. This is a fast league. This is an athletic league. And you can bring in older players and get 1 year or 2 years out of them. Right here, and you see what Howie's doing. You got 2 former second-round draft picks. You're drafted in the second round at that position because you have potential. You only need them here for a year. Let them get their 10 sacks and then they can go get their bag somewhere else. It's not going to be here. You're now becoming a feeder team for the rest of the NFL and NFL free agency. Guys want to come play for you because they recognize, wow, this will be a good defense. And we haven't even talked about the young players in the secondary and the young players at linebacker, et cetera, right? Jalen Carter, 24. Jordan Davis, 25. Nolan Smith, 24. Jalix Hunt looks like he's going to be a next very good offensive lineman or defensive lineman for the Eagles. Now you bring in these pass rush specialists that are going to come in on third down where they don't have to play the run. You don't have to worry about them playing the run. And they're going to be able to be fresh. And look at the pressure the Eagles' ends were able to get last year because of what you had on the interior defensive line. That's not going to change. You think a guy that maybe struggled to get to the quarterback like Josh Uche because he played for a bad team in the Patriots, or a Ojulari who played for a bad team with the Giants. Now all you're saying is, listen, guys, go get the quarterback. And you got Jalen Carter getting double teamed, bringing pressure. You're getting Ojomo coming up, bringing pressure. You have Nolan Smith coming off the other end. You're getting Bond blitzed. Tyler, listen, man. I don't know if you're going to be able to contain me to September. What Howie Roseman is doing right now, and it's not even that difficult. Sometimes the best moves you make are simple moves. He's got a team that players want to play for. He's got a team that players know, come here, get your stats, go get a big contract. Every agent is probably looking at the Eagles like that. I look at the age of this defense. Look at this defensive line. Oh, my God, I couldn't be more jacked up. I couldn't be more excited. Howie Roseman, thank you. Thank you very much.
You've got a kid on Christmas feel.
Oh, my God.
Like where you're waiting to open presents from Santa, right? Like I
just opened them.
You've got an excitement to you today that it's definitely palpable for sure. Yep. And here's the thing. I think the one thing that we have to keep in mind is, like, not every move that, you know, when you sign a 1-year deal, not every time you go, you know, the feeder system conversation, like, they're not all going to work out. But if half of them work, or if 2/3 of them work, or whatever the case may be, like, you have brought in guys who have the ability to do one thing specifically, and they now can do it sitting next to Jalen Carter. They now can do it sitting next to Jordan Davis on the early downs, if they are going to be part of the rotation on first and second down. especially in the rundowns. Now you can just eat on a play action. You can eat on a bootleg. You can eat on a read type of thing. And so what they've done is establish this system where this is a really good team. It's a team that's coming off a Super Bowl that probably is going to have repeat type aspirations. Repeating is really hard in the NFL, but they're going to have the roster to be able to think about competing and repeating again. And so what guys are now looking at is they go, let me join this really, really good team. Let me join this stacked roster where I can be a rotational piece, where I can feed amongst this rotation and get to the quarterback, bring up. Azeez Ojulari had 6 sacks last year, and he only played 11 games.
Yeah.
And so if he's healthy over the course of a 17-game season, does that number get to 8 or 9 or 10? And you start thinking about what could these guys be within the scope of the rotation? And fresh is the best thing that they could be. You have Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith, Nolan Smith took the next step. Jalix Hunt took the first step. They're going to be big pieces. Now you have these guys that you've brought in who are veterans, who maybe underperformed a little bit with bad teams. What happens when they're on good teams? The rotation, I think, now is deep, and they've had the ability to, at least from a productivity standpoint, like from a money ball standpoint, replace Josh Sweat in the aggregate, right? You bring in 2 guys for relatively cheap who could help you, could turn into really, really good pieces.
Honest question. You lost Milt Williams, you lost Josh Sweat. To me, this line has more upside than the line did last year. And Milt Williams had a great year, and Josh Sweat had a really good year, but Josh Sweat wasn't going to be better than he was last year. And I think a lot of that came from what was going on in the interior of the defensive line. All right. So these guys that are, you're talking about pass rush specialists, and like you said, fresh.
Yep.
Remember 2017 Eagles, how you had fresh defensive ends that were coming from the sideline, ready to go in pass situations. Chris Long was eaten. They had guys on that team where it was just like, listen, that was the strength of their defense.
For sure.
This defense is a better secondary than that defense did, arguably, right? They had Malcolm Jenkins and Rodney McLeod, and they were very good. But corners-wise, certainly. Now you have this young defensive line. I can't. And I even bring up Bryce Hoff. I left Bryce Hoff off the list. He's 26. So even though these loser insiders out there say like, oh, well, the Eagles would listen on Bryce Hoff. Yeah, no bleep. They would listen on Bryce Huff.
They want to get off the money if they can, right?
And no one's taking that contract. But anyway, he's 26, and if you look at him and say, listen, you have to earn snaps and get sacks. Get to the quarterback. He doesn't have the pressure of having to carry a line, right? It's not saying he's going to be worth $17 million, but Bryce Huff being a depth piece is excellent on this line.
I think there is some value to just go get to the quarterback. Get around the edge and go get to the quarterback. Don't worry about gap control. Don't worry about the run game too much. You're going to play on pass downs. And last year, he was a healthy scratch at times because of the lack of productivity. To healthy scratch a $15, $16, $17 million player kind of takes some fortitude to do that.
Fangio didn't like him.
And there's no doubt that there's some something going on there, because again, to healthy scratch a multi-million dollar and double-digit million dollar guy kind of takes some fortitude to do. But
it does.
When you have this much depth, and I will say this, I'm not a huge Josh Uche fan. He's fine to me. But Ojulari is the one that excites me. This is the move they think so far of the short-term 1-year deals that I think has the highest upside potential.
Right.
This one excites me.
Yeah, I think Uche is the guy that we don't care if he leaves after the season, and Ojulari is the guy that we talk ourselves into, like, no, you got to re-sign him. You can't let him leave, right? So we'll see. Throw the tweet up for our digital watchers right now of what this guy's a Washington Commanders like blogger, Twitter, podcaster, whatever, right? Very active on Twitter. And this is a Washington fan that's saying this. So because now I've been involved in too many conversations because there's so many whiny Washington fans. And you know what? Their media is more whiny than everybody. Oh, my God. Still complaining about the Eagles game. But the tweet that we have from the Washington guy, and let me pull it up right now, where it's more or less just admitting that. Did I not put it in there?
No, you did. I had to restart the computer, so I have to just go
No,
find
but
it.
I know, but I can't even find it. I don't think I did. No, you know what? No, I didn't. I absolutely didn't. But so he's more or less just saying, I'm gonna pull it up right now. He's more or less just saying like, yeah, so here's the tweet. He says, it's called Burgundy Blog. It's a Jeremy Fowler tweet that says, Eagles sign Azeez Ojulari, $4 million, blah, blah, blah. And here's the tweet. It says, the Eagles usually do what the fans would do, and it usually works. And you think about it, right? So what did we used to say? And I'll say we collectively as Eagles fans. And at the time I was working sports radio. When Howie was struggling in the draft, when I was like, come on, Howie, you suck at the draft, fire Howie or whatever. Just draft players from Alabama. Draft good players. Draft players from Georgia. Georgia has a great defense. Draft the players from Georgia. So Howie was obviously listening to WIP or watching PHLY in 2025 because he's now keeping it simple. And he's actually doing what a lot of the fans are saying. Like, what did the fans say this offseason? Fans said sign Zach Bond, and I know there's a lot of belly aching after the other players leave. But the plan was you're going to re-sign Bond, and then you're going to let the other guys leave. Well, guess what happened? They signed Bond, they let the other guys leave, right? So now, like, these are very smart signings. Very, very smart signings. Like Tyler had said, it doesn't mean that it has to work out. Uche may end up being a flake and doesn't end up producing. Ojulari may end up getting injured like he has. You know, like he's not available to the Eagles at this price unless he has trouble staying on the field. But when you're relying on him to be a pass rush specialist rather than not an every down player, but more of an every down player. Same with Uche. My friend that covers the Patriots up in Boston had said he's a good dude. He's a good piece, but he can't be your starting defensive end or your starting outside rush linebacker in a 3-4. He's not good enough against the run. Pass rush specialist. Bam! That's what the Eagles have done. So like everybody's now recognizing it. You realize that, right? Like the Bengals have changed the way that they've done business for their entire history because Joe Burrow said, the Eagles sign everybody. I want to do what the Eagles are doing. The media, the national media, are now recognizing and saying, oh, well, look what the Eagles do with the contracts and how they manipulate them. And you get podcasters like Pardon My Take that are like, salary cap's not real. Look at how you're able to pretty much sign whoever you want to sign. This whole thing that we can't afford it because of the salary cap, it's not true. It doesn't work like that, right? So, like, now the NFL world has shifted to Philadelphia. You're looking live at the Capitol to the NFL, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And everybody knows it. And it's an extremely uncomfortable feeling for the rest of the world to have Eagles fans in charge of everything. Oh, yeah, we're in charge now. Now, can we repeat? I sure as hell hope so. But what the Eagles are doing following a Super Bowl win where they have a core on offense that's locked up and isn't going anywhere, with an unbelievable offensive line, skill positions, and a quarterback that's got stones and wins in the big moments. You have a friggin' defense with a bunch of young players that are crazy and are getting at it. Oh, my God. Pitch me, Tyler Zerly. Pitch me. I can't believe it. And the rest of the world knows that the Eagles are in charge.
You know what the beauty of this is, too, is it allows the Eagles to draft in a way, at least for this year, in a way that benefits them for the long term.
Let's do this. Let's talk about that next. I had the exact same. They're not taking a defensive lineman with the first round pick unless there's a guy that clearly stands out.
Yeah, if somebody falls to them, they're still going to do it. But I think that now it allows them to have options.
Tight end. All right, that's coming up after this. Philly with John Marks. We're back in 2-2. Don't go anywhere. You know what, Tyler? I never even looked to see what what my ad reads are today. So I'm figuring Glatt and Bet Parks are going to be a part of it. So that's what I'm going to do right now. At least I'm going to start with Glatt Hair Restoration. So I decided I need
John,
my hair.
you know, you're good at your job.
I know.
Because that's exactly correct.
Okay. Well, I figure that has to at least be part of it. Worry about after Block B. But so Glatt Hair Restoration. I'm I didn't make an appointment yet, but I'm going to try to get my hair cut on Thursday. And because like when you like the way your hair looks and it starts to get a little bit long, you're like, I could use a freshie. So I'm going to make it up to the razor bar on Thursday. But I mean, that's really what it's all about is, does your hair look good? Do you like the way your hair looks? Right? Like, because if you don't like the way your hair looks, that's why you look at the ads that you see on social media. That's why maybe you've looked into hair restoration, or more likely a lot of people out there, because I'm stuck in the algorithm. There's this shampoo. I don't even know the name of the product, but it's this shampoo. And it's like, oh no, it regrows your hair. Like, look at this guy's hair. You know what I never see? Before pictures. Before and after. With me, and we flash them up here from time to time, you can get a before, you can get an after picture. This is what my hair looks like right now. And there's the before. You can't hide from that. Glatt hair restoration. Whether you're talking about a hair restoration procedure, whether you're talking about maintenance, right? There's a lot of products on the market. There's a lot of innovative things that are on the market. If you're starting to go bald, if you're like, this is trouble, you may not need hair restoration. You can slow down the balding process. You can eliminate the thinning process. Glatt Hair Restoration has over 30 years of experience in the business. All they do is hair, the #1 hair shop in the country. That's right. And I'm not talking about a barbershop, folks. Give them a call. You can actually speak to their hair team, 610-980-4000. 610-980-4000. The website is glatthairmm.com. glatthairmm.com. All right, my casino, Parks Casino, will be there Saturday 1 to 3 for a live show during the Saturday of the NCAA tournament. It's a great place their sportsbook's amazing. Great place to watch all the games. Parks Casino, my casino, the #1 casino in Pennsylvania. Action, excitement, headline entertainment. The concerts and comedy they have going on at the Excite Center are amazing. MMA, boxing, thousands of slots, live table games, state-of-the-art sportsbook, beautiful poker room, and a collection of award-winning restaurants. Parks Casino, this is how you win. Tickets on sale right now. Lee Bryce. You don't have to buy tickets for Philly with John Marks on Saturday, but Lee Bryce, country superstar, March 22nd, this Saturday. Larry the Cable Guy, May 16th. Trevor Wallace, Mark Norman, in June and July. And don't forget, dinner and drinks before the show at Parks Grill Steakhouse, Liberty Bell Gastropub and Beer Garden, or Bamboo Noodle House. Don't forget, dinner and drinks before the show. ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all shows. Parks Casino, this is how you win. You must be 21. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hooah. We're back. Philly with John Marks. Block C of the show, which would be in about 15 minutes or so, we have some Phillies, and we have something with it because the Sixers lost last night, but there are some interesting things going on with the Sixers. So that's coming up in that block right there. I wanted to read the goodbye letter from Mekhi Becton, who, sometimes you get the guy that leaves Philadelphia and it's clear that there wasn't a connection and there wasn't love, but they appreciated their time being here and they put out the billboard or they put out the thing on social media. And then when there's a really, really big player leaving, then maybe they'll take out an ad in the Inquirer or something like that. I did see this on a bunch of things on social media, that Claude Giroux's goodbye to Philadelphia, that Becton's was times 100 of Claude Giroux. Did Claude Giroux not have did he not have it in him to thank Philadelphia? I don't remember it.
I don't even remember I don't remember it at all.
He's been gone a while now, right?
It's been 4 years now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he was the Flyers didn't win squat with him, but he was a pretty good player as a Zamboner. I recognize that. All right, so Mekhi Becton, and I wanted to read this because I'm an emotional person, right? I came in the day after Kobe Bryant died, because that was a Sunday. I came in on the air at 2 o'clock, and I couldn't even get words out of my mouth. I was so upset about it, right? So good things, bad things. I get emotional a lot of things, right? So this is Mekhi Becton. It says, Philadelphia, thank you. Coming into a new locker room, you never know what to expect, but from early on, it was evident this team was special. The bond we built, the standard was upheld, the way we showed up for each other every single day. That's what made this past season the most fun I've ever had playing football, and it was because of the guys in that locker room. To the offensive line, I could have asked for a better group of guys to go to battle with. Thank y'all for welcoming me and setting the standard for showing me what it truly means to prepare, to fight through injuries, to push through the pain, and to handle business at the highest level. I learned so much just from being around each of you, and that's something I'll always appreciate. Coach Jeff Stoutland, thank you. From day one, you believed in me, even before I fully believed in myself. You saw something in me, challenged me, and pushed me to reach a level I never knew I had. You made me a better player, but more importantly, a better man. What I'll take away most is your mindset, your attention to detail, and the way you prepared every single day. You set the standard, and that will stick with me as I continue my career. To the entire Eagles organization, thank you for taking a chance on me. Thank you for believing in me and giving me the opportunity to be a part of something special. Winning a Super Bowl with this team in this city is something I'll never forget. And to the city of Philadelphia, thank you. The passion, the energy, the support, it's unlike anything I've ever experienced. Playing in front of you was an honor, and I'll always carry a piece of Philly with me. Much love, Mekhi Becton. Very well said. And you can see why the Eagles are comfortable with letting Mekhi Becton walk and sliding in somebody from an outside organization that hasn't had success, because he's being asked to come in and do his part, and he's being challenged. When you come in and you're with guys that are Pro Bowlers, future Hall of Famers, etc., and they demand excellence, you're not going to let them down. Now, if you're a real loser, you're going to let them down. I watched I think it was an NFL Films, something. I don't know if you saw it, Tyler. It was with Jeff Stoutland. And he had his players that were talking about him, and they sat down with him and his wife and even his kids and just talked about him. And the love that his players have for him, and like he is like the ultimate father figure to these guys. He really, really is.
Yeah, he's revered by everybody that comes here and plays for him. He's revered by.
It's unbelievable. Watch it. I think it's an NFL Film stuff, but you can find it out there if you Google it. And it's not. That's right. It might be like 20 minutes, or I forget what it was that I watched. But like, you're watching it, and he's tearing up. His wife's tearing up. Like, these guys mean so much to Jeff Stoutland, and everybody means so much to each other. You want teams that win, teams that everybody are pulling in the same direction and have genuine love for each other, and there's one common goal. And what happens when you win, though, is guys want to get paid. There's division in locker rooms. We saw it after they won that first title. So you can prepare for that going into the future. It doesn't appear that this team is going to be going through anything like that. They got rid of CJ, GJ, and I'm just telling you, I think a lot of that was because he wanted to get more money and it wasn't something they were interested in doing. This is still going to be a very tight team. But you look at that offensive line, and listen, I don't know how old Jeff Stoutland is. He is not allowed to retire at any point. Tyler, if we have to weaken a 63, all right, we got time. If we have to weaken at Bernie's Jeff Stoutland, then we're going to do that. Because what you have right here is something special. I grew up with an Eagles offensive line in the mid-'80s into really Andy Reid took over. With all due respect, these guys were not good. The value was in place on the offensive line. When they did value them and they used high draft picks, you got a guy that smoked his way out of the league. You had a guy that you traded up to get from Tennessee. What the hell was his name? And like they didn't have any luck with offensive linemen. Randall Cunningham's running for his life. They can't run the football. And then Andy Reid came in and he said, you win with the offensive line. He set a template for what good organizations do. They build along the lines, and Howie Roseman saw it, and he's continued this. And listen, it's not rocket science. Like, look at the teams that are good in the NFL. And Stoutland is such a huge part of that. So I'm rooting for Mekhi Becton, man. I hope he turns into an all-pro guard and everything else. Antone Davis, yes, thank you very much, everybody. Antone Davis from Tennessee. They traded a first-round draft pick. I think it wasn't Warren Sapp, because they traded, that was for Mike Mamula. But they traded a first-round draft pick to go up and get Antone Davis because he was supposed to be like a great left tackle. And he wasn't. It's unbelievable. I'm so happy about it. All right. So Tyler had said this before, and I was thinking the exact same thing. Now what, like, Eagles are picking to 32. And let me say this. Let me give a shout out. Let me give a shout out to all Eagles fans out there, as I'll continue just to shower us with affection and love, because there's no fan base in the history of sports that salivates over comp picks like Eagles fans. There is no fan base in sports that loves getting a third-round draft pick at the end of the third round than Eagles fans. They lose a player. Oh, Zach Berman, what comp pick are we getting for losing Mekhi Becton? Oh, look at all these draft picks. Howie Roseman has 3 third comps, a 4th-round draft. Oh, a 5th for Mekhi Becton. We love the comp picks. Oh, man, it makes us great and unlike any fan base out there. But with a team that doesn't have a lot of holes, let's face it, where are the holes on this team? Linebacker depth, I would say. Offensive line depth, like maybe one guy, maybe a corner or a safety. I would say safety for sure. Corner, safety, one of these Cooper DeJean type players that can really be versatile and play both. Wide receiver, Jahan Dotson's on the final year of his contract. Tight end is probably, it's unbelievable to say that's your priority, but tight end, right? Yeah, you could go in any direction in the draft now. And they pick at the end of the first round. Maybe they even get out of the first round and get even more picks.
Yeah, I have a feeling the Eagles are going to trade out of the first round. I think they go to somewhere in the late 30s-ish range, pick up potentially a 2 and 26 or something along those lines, move some picks around. I think it becomes a cheaper player, right? Instead of paying first-round money, you're paying second-round money. I understand you lose the fifth-year option out of that, but I could see a way where there's like 6 or 7 guys the Eagles like, but there's nobody that they love in this particular spot. They move out of 32, they go to like 38 or 39 or something like that in day 2.
Another third or something.
Right, you end up with some picks in 2026, and I think that may be the strategy. Unless somebody is there that they love. Like the one guy I've seen comped at 32 a couple of times that I think would be really, really efficient in this defensive line would be Walter Nolan. Interior guy, but more of a pass rush interior guy from Ole Miss. I think if he's at 32, they might consider it.
They could use another young edge rusher.
But I do think that if they were to move, I would say my guess would be it's more likely they move back than that they move up.
Agreed. So this year, they've picked 32, 64. In the third round, they've picked 96. So you win a Super Bowl, you pick at the end of every round. Yes, that's what sucks about winning a Super Bowl. All right, so then in the fourth, from the Lions. So that's at the end of the draft as well, 134. Fifth round, pick 161, 164, 165, 168. There's a 0% chance they take 4 players there. Howie's great at maneuvering around. And then you look at the 2026 picks, and I don't know if this has been updated. I'm reading from Jimmy Kempski. 1-1, their second round pick. Then they have 3 third round picks. 3. So you could see Howie use from as a big allotment of picks for this year, which wouldn't surprise me. He could use a 3 from next year to try to move somewhere, maybe move up in the third round. 3 thirds, 2 4s, 3 5s, a 6, and a 7. Oh, man.
Yeah, I think the likelihood is if the Eagles are moving up in a round, it feels to me like it might be more rounds 2 and 3, where they target a guy who they really like as like the 50th best player, but they're not going to get it 62, 64. That to me feels like it could be the strategy where they move up on day 2 in either round 2 or round 3.
Yeah, I want a versatile safety. Sidney Brown's being sold right now and is going to be sold to the fan base, which is fine. I hope Sidney Brown is the starter in Philadelphia for the next 8 years. Absolutely. I have questions whether or not he's a full-time starting safety in the NFL. Can he stay healthy? And is he good enough in coverage? Right? Or is he just and you know what? Maybe he's a part-time player that's just a maniac and is nailing people all over the place. That's fine. We're going to find out because they're going to give opportunities for younger players to play. And then they're going to have veterans that are in there that can slide in case maybe Sidney Brown's isn't good enough or he's not ready to play, right? But and you could also have a young player. So you look at the draft picks and it's like, well, damn, they can really go like tight end first and foremost. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to use your first pick on them. If there's you don't have to reach for them, but they need to address the tight end situation. Are they using one of their draft picks to get an existing tight end? Who's the cat from the Raiders that was a high draft pick 2 years ago?
Michael Mayer.
Right. Like, does he suck or did the Raiders just be like, nah, we got somebody better?
I think the Raiders got what could be a
Hall of Fame.
generational tight end in Brock Bowers.
So it's understandable, and they made the right move by picking him because he's really good. But like now you can use some of your assets to go out and get an existing player. If Dallas Goedert's not going to be on the team this year, I know that you have all these other offensive weapons. I don't want a hole at tight end, which you might end up having. But like it'd be nice to address the situation. I still don't remember his name, the Bowling Green tight end. You know it from muscle memory?
Yeah, it's Harold Fannin. I am a huge Harold Fannin fan. A little bit undersized, not like a huge-bodied receiver, but a really good route runner, really good pass catcher. I love Harold Fannin.
So we went. I was going over his game logs last week when you were off. And first of all, for the season, he's from Bowling Green.
Yeah, he tortured Penn State when Bowling Green went up there and almost beat Penn State.
He is 6'4", 230. He's not. You're not going to want him necessarily out there in the tush-push situations.
Yeah, he's not a great blocking tight end. He's much more of a pass-catching slot-type receiver tight end in the beginning of his career. But I think the upside is there.
Against Penn State, he had 11 catches for $137 and a touchdown. So he had a 12-reception game for 193, 10 for 171, 17 catches for 213, 9 for 25. He had 117 catches for 1,555 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Oh, but he plays at Bowling Green, John. Remember? Oh, but wait, that's right. Quinyon Mitchell came out of the same conference, and
and you know, there's a connection, right? So the connection is it's. I guess it's not crazy. Chip Kelly left being the head coach of UCLA to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. It was actually a promotion. They win a national title. Now he's the offensive coordinator with the Raiders. You'd think, oh, he's an offensive coordinator. Offensive coordinators are making how much money these days? $6, $7, $8 million. If you're the top high-end offensive coordinator, he's making more money being an offensive coordinator with the Raiders than he would having a head coaching job at some crappy university. So the Eagles quarterback coach and he just left. Hold on, let me see. I don't even know his name yet because, again, these are all new guys. Scott Loafer. He left Bowling Green, and he made Bowling Green a competitive program. He left as the head coach of Bowling Green to join the Eagles as quarterbacks coach. So he just coached and recruited this dude. I don't know if he recruited. I don't know how long he was there, but he definitely coached him at least his last 3 years, right? So you have an inside guy that knows whether or not this guy's worth it. And if he says to Howie, he gives him the wink and is like, go get me this guy. If he's an Eagle, could you imagine? Oh, man. I can't contain myself. It's only March 18th, Tyler. You got to get me to the draft, man. We got
you still got a month and a half.
Oh, my God. I'm not going to be able to take it. It's so good. Life is so good. And the Phillies are starting soon. My we'll talk about the Sixers, was my least favorite thing to talk about coming up. But the Phillies are starting in a week and a couple days. Oh, my God. Life is good. Actually, Major League Baseball had their opener today in Japan. We'll talk about that coming up in a second. It's just so stupid. But the Dodgers and who are they playing? The Mariners? Who are they playing?
The Cubs.
That's right, the Cubs. That's a good matchup. In Japan, the game started at 6 o'clock this morning. All right, we have that. We have the 76ers. Did the 76ers find a diamond in the rough? And Quentin Grimes. We'll talk about that. Paul George also shut down for the rest of the season. That's all coming up. Philly, John Marks, back in 2-2. All right, so check it out. Central City Toyota, Uncle Jamie, CentralCityToyota.com. That's right, my Uncle Jamie is the general manager, longtime general manager, been with CentralCityToyota.com for 3 decades in the heart of University City, 55 years on Chestnut Street. The largest parts and service department in the entire city of Philadelphia. If you're looking for a new Toyota, CentralCityToyota.com. Their sister dealership, Ardmore Toyota, their entire stock from both dealerships, CentralCityToyota.com. You're looking for a certified Toyota, CentralCityToyota.com. I've been a customer since 2005, so I got 20 years behind me here. I've had Corollas, Camrys, RAV4s, multiple Highlanders, Sienna. Got the minivan. That's right. All under the guidance of Uncle Jamie. And I'm telling you, Toyotas are great cars, and there's no better dealership, CentralCityToyota.com. And if you're looking for service, you don't want to sit in a smelly car dealership on a Saturday, wasting 3 hours of your life drinking bad coffee. Maybe you like that stuff. I don't. Schedule an appointment at centralcitytoyota.com if you work in the Philly Center City area. So maybe you're out in like Lower Merion, Bala Cynwyd, West Philly, University City, South Philly. If you're not that far away, they'll come and grab your car from wherever you work, take it back to the dealership, service it, and then bring it back. It's like you don't even know it happened. CentralCityToyota.com to get that. Central City Toyota. All right. I don't need the sunglasses anymore, but because Tyler buttoned up that window over there. But if I did, you know where I would go, Tyler? I would go to Shady Rays, and I would get your sunglasses. I need to find these Shady Rays here. What do you got?
They're somewhere in there. I think they're underneath your table. Oh, maybe they're not. Maybe they finally got moved. There was like community sunglasses, and you could tell I look like I just entered heaven. Look at this. I tried to makeshift a banner behind me, but I might need the Shady Rays at this point because the glare is just absolutely ridiculous. John, Shady Rays is great because 300,000 people have told you why. 5 stars, right? That's the best way to go about it, is to just listen to what other people have to say. They've got durable frames, crystal clear optics, and they make for the perfect choice for all of your outdoor adventures. Now, I know ski and snowboard season is really coming to an end very quickly, but Shady Rays has a brand new collection of snow goggles to help you see clearly and to look good on the slopes if you want to get those last minute opportunity to get in on the slopes before the weather gets too warm. They have glasses and snow goggles in both adult and kid sizes, and with so many different color options and variabilities, you'll find the perfect pair that fits for you. And if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't worry about it. They have the best protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by a lost or broken replacement. If you don't love the pair that you get, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them worry-free up to 30 days. So there's no risk to you when you shop. And for PHLY viewers and listeners, go to ShadyRays.com and save 35% off your pair of polarized sunglasses with the code PHLY. So over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars, including myself. So use the code PHLY today at ShadyRays.com.
Thank you, Tyler. These are not Shady Rays. These are like, I don't know. I mean, are they Ray-Bans where it's R-E-Y Ray-Ban? You know what I mean? They're fake Ray-Bans. No, these are real, but like Shady Rays are so much better. I'm disappointed that I had to put these on. But I felt like I wasn't contributing to the segment if I didn't find them. All right. A couple things here. 76ers lose last night, which is, you know, obviously it's like I didn't watch a second of it. All 76ers fans want is a top 6 pick because that's what is protected. I agree. It's just been such a painful year. We're back in the process era, which I actually like. It's comforting that we're back there, but not when you're planning to try to win a championship and now you're back in the process era. They're signing guys to 10-day contracts. They're trying to they're trying right now, trying to find some gems. Well, perhaps they found one here. Now, I guess all right, let's start with this. Paul George has been shut down for the rest of the year, and who cares? Right? Like, shouldn't they have shut him down? Why the hell was he trying to play in games anyway? Like, I know he stopped his podcast or whatever, which we said at the time. It's like, no, actually have your podcast if you want now. The beginning of the season, maybe you shouldn't have done the podcast. Anyway, so Daryl Morey made a good trade. He actually got a second-round draft pick. They were able to unload a player, and like, I don't necessarily know if you were like, it felt like they were unloading him because I think on a good team, and I'm blanking on his name right now there, Tyler, where's Caleb Martin? So they trade Caleb Martin, who they signed to be like a tough guy. Pat Riley, Miami Heat, shoot the three, play defense, like a true team contributor, right? Well, when they realized like this ain't happening this year, they got out from underneath that contract. The Mavs, who at that point were like, hey, like we need to add bodies because like Luka's gone, and so like Caleb Martin's a nice piece for a team that's trying to contend. They were just in the finals last year, right? So Quentin Grimes and a second-round draft pick comes to the 76ers. Well, Quentin Grimes, and I pulled up his game logs before he joined the Sixers with the Mavericks this year. He was averaging 22.8 minutes a game at 10 points. it's pretty good for a rotational player, right? Like he's coming in off the bench, he's adding energy, he's adding a scoring punch. He shoots the three at like a pretty good clip, right? Like not crazy good. He's more of a gunner than anything. But like he'll get off his shots, he'll score some points. And then he comes to the Sixers, and it's like, all right, like they already have a couple of guards or whatever, but like they desperately need some guys that can play right now. Listen to some of these games that he's had with the 76ers, in particular as of late, right? So, and I'm going back to last night, he had 46 points. 46 points. They lost in overtime, but they had 46 points. He shot 8 of 14 from three. He was 15 to 27 from the floor. He had 13 rebounds, and he had 6 turnovers, which whatever. He played an overtime game, scored 46 points. 46, 28. These are his game logs. 46, 28, 29, 35, 25, 36, 44. Now, he had a 14 and a 6 in there. But other than that, 46, 28, 29, 35, 25, 6, 30, 14, 44. My question is, and this is always the thing. I remember when Kenny Thomas averaged a double-double with the Sixers, a bad Sixers team. And he was a good player on a bad team. And Billy King gave him a big contract extension. And I remember saying at the time, because I'm old enough to have been doing sports radio at the time, that okay, I like Kenny Thomas. This isn't anything against Kenny Thomas, but when you're playing for a bad team, someone's got to score the points and get the rebounds. So are these impactful points, does it translate to good teams? In other words, can Quentin Grimes be more than a rotational player? Can he be can he be a piece of the solution of what's wrong with the 76ers? Because he sure as hell could score. He scored 46 points last night. I mean, Jesus. So Tyler Zulli, when you look at Quentin Grimes, because he's a restricted free agent. So I don't know if the rest of the league is going to view this as being, he was playing for the Sixers who were trying to lose and he's a gunner, or, damn, this dude can play. So I don't know if the Sixers are going to be able to bring him back, depending on how the rest of the league is viewing him. You'd almost want to shut him down now, to not let him keep scoring in the 40s, because maybe he's going to outprice themselves from the 76ers. I don't know. I'll be interested to see what the Sixers do after this season. Can they afford to keep him without making some moves?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, because you're right. Every time he plays well, his price goes up, and you would hope that this is the type of player that could be a piece for this team, when they get healthy and maybe they kind of hit an upswing. You're hoping next year with, if Embiid's healthy, assuming Embiid's here, he may not be, he may be, but assuming Embiid's here, Paul George gets healthy, Tyrese Maxey gets healthy, Jared McCain gets healthy. They've missed a lot of time to injury this season. Not to make excuses, because this has been like a season from hell for this team, but they have missed a lot of time due to injury. So I'm curious, what is this type? What is Quentin Grimes on a good team? I think he's a really nice piece to a second unit.
Is he your third guard?
I think he could be. Yeah, I think he could be. Now, the thing that I said to you before the show starts is, if you bring Quentin Grimes back, he's listed as 6'4". I think he's probably a little bit smaller than that, right, but he's listed as 6'4". Your guard group between Maxey, McCain, and Grimes is relatively undersized. It's a smaller group. McCain is small. Maxey's not particularly tall either.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Grimes would be the biggest of the three at 6'3", 6'4", whatever he is. I don't know if that's problematic. If you're going to put the ball in the basket, then does it really matter? Assuming that the defense isn't a total liability on the other side.
Right.
To answer your question, I think he is a good piece for a winning team.
Can you pay him?
That's the bigger question. I don't know the answer to that question, and I'm not sure we're going to know until we see. Because what is it? Somebody has to offer an offer sheet, I think.
He's a restricted free agent,
and then the
so
Sixers
can match. But if a team wanted to kind of cook a contract, they could do it to make it more difficult on the Sixers. I mean, is Yabusele coming back? See, that's what I'm saying. You're so dug in with these big contracts. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to bring him back. I'm going to try to get Devon on tomorrow just to dissect this, because it is interesting. Because maybe this means Oubre's gone. Lonnie Walker feels like he can be a piece. They have pretty good talent. They have good talent on this team. I hate to say this. it's just, I don't want, like, I'm ready for the Embiid era to be over. Are they really going to win with Joel Embiid? Are they going to win with Joel Embiid? We know they're not, right? Can everybody just admit they're not going to? I know 76ers fans are strange birds. The dieharders are strange birds, man. I don't know how you look at where this organization is right now and what Joel Embiid is right now and think that's not best for this organization and probably best for Joel Embiid too, just to move on. I don't know, man. You're not going to hear me talk bad about Joel. I'm just so over it. I'm so done.
I'm thinking about you brought up Yabusele, and so here's kind of the situation that the Sixers find themselves in. So Yabusele, so the Sixers own the bird rights to Quentin Grimes. So they have that in their favor, which means that they can sign him above the cap, right? They have the ability to go over the cap to bring in their own player, or to retain their own players. But they want to stay under the first apron in order to have the best chance of maximizing the mid-level exception to Yabusele.
But it's not just that. It's luxury tax, right? So, but a lot of moves they made was to get, like, and I don't want to get too much in the weeds here, but like under a certain threshold to where you're not paying as much luxury tax. Because like the Golden State Warriors, I think, have a $400 million payroll with luxury tax this year. Josh Harris ain't doing that unless you're winning. If you're winning, sure. I don't care how many billion you have. If you're winning, then you're going to be able to pay that. But if your season is a total bleep show like it was this year, is Josh Harris going to be like, oh, yeah, sure. Let's go over the cap and give Quentin Grimes near max money because he scored 46 points in freaking March, right? Like, I don't know if the owner's authorizing that. So, like, that's really the problem is they can re-sign their own guys, but, like, can they do enough with the move around? Like, the one thing with Morey is he's good with this kind of stuff. I think he's a terrible face for a franchise. I just do. It pains me. It just pains me. He pains me. I want him out of here so bad. I do. There are things that he has strengths. Getting a Quentin Grimes is a strength of his.
It's a good move.
He's able to find talent. He is.
Because
Yabusele was a very good signing.
Bringing in Caleb Martin made sense at the time, right? It was as you brought up, kind of a spark plug type of player. Guy could shoot the three a little bit, and they signed him to a 4-year deal. And unfortunately, this team was not particularly. It just wasn't ready to compete this year because of injuries and because they struggled, even with their talent on the floor, they struggled. So they were able to say, hey, listen, we're going to get out of this 3-year deal or the remaining 3.5 years left, right? And they said, we're going to get out of this. We're going to get something for him and we'll see what Quentin Grimes could be. They got the second-round pick, which is fine, but Quentin Grimes has played well above expectations. And again, primarily because he's had the opportunity to shine.
Someone's got to shoot the ball,
but somebody's got to score, right? So if the report was that in Dallas, Quentin Grimes, was it Dallas?
Yeah, Dallas.
Yeah, it was in Dallas. Quentin Grimes won it close to the top of the MLE, per year, which I think is like $11 or $12 million. He's probably going to get offered that from somebody. It's $11-12 million a year.
You should be able to figure things out to keep him at that number, right?
But then it impacts Yabusele.
Yeah,
and so that's kind of where you're balancing, right? I personally don't know if Yabusele's back. I think he might get a better deal somewhere else.
Yeah, he's being wasted on a bad team. Let's face it. His worth's being wasted. Put up Luffy's comment there on the live chat saying, not Embiid's fault. Not Embiid's fault. This organization can't keep him healthy. Like I said, I'm just over it. I'm not here to kill Joel Embiid. He's been a great player in this franchise. He's won an MVP. He's won scoring titles. He's a very talented player. He's had a great 76ers career. They haven't made it out of the second round of the playoffs. If you think the 76ers are at fault for Joel Embiid's injuries, you're smoking, not even dope, you're smoking crack. All right? I'm not going to tell you that like you can't blame them for some things. Joel Embiid's 7'2" and has an injury. He's injury prone. He's going to have injuries. His knee's not going to get better. It's not because the Sixers aren't treating him correctly. What don't you understand? He's not going to be healthy. He hasn't taken his conditioning seriously enough. These are well-known things. Fine. Hold the 76ers responsible for some of it. Hold Joel Embiid responsible for some of it. Who the cares at this point? Who cares? He's not going to be healthy. This is stupid. We're torturing ourselves. in trying to believe that this is going to work with Joel Embiid. And we're going to do it for another year. And I'm not going to, but you're going to talk yourself into next year saying, okay, look, we have Grimes and we added this guy, we added that guy. And then it's going to be the same thing. It's going to end in disappointment. Sorry, it is. And then you're going to come crawling back. Oh, but it's not Joel Embiid's fault. Can we just please, I can't take it. Sixers pro Embiid truthers are right now among the top of my annoying Philadelphia sports fan list. And diehard Sixers fans are right at the top of it. They sure are. Honestly, I've become a two-sport fan. How about that, Tyler Zuli? I become a two-sport fan or a three-sport fan because I love college football. The Flyers, listen, I'm a Zamboner. If they're not winning, I'm not watching. And I've tuned in this year for Mitch Goff. I'm over I don't need to watch anymore. All right, like come back next year if you're contending for a playoff. You're contending for a playoff? Oh, yeah, let's have some watch parties. Let's go out and watch it. I have no interest right now. 76ers, I'm out. Next year, beginning of the season, all right, I'm a positive guy. I'll start watching some of the games. Eagles and Phillies. You know why? Because right now, these teams, they're winning franchises. Right? Like Phillies haven't won a World Series with Bryce Harper. It sucks. It feels like their window of opportunity has not shut, but it's closing. Eagles are the best franchise in sports, as far as I'm concerned right now. Right? So I have no interest in the Sixers right now. And that's, to me, you got to change things around. Because if you get rid of Joel Embiid, guess what? You're probably going to win 22 games next year. And that's okay. What did that guy say on the radio commercial? But that's okay. The lawyer for the divorce lawyer.
Yeah, if I'm not licensed in your state.
But Michelle Ferreri is.
He's only licensed in Missouri. Yeah.
And Illinois. But that's okay. But someone in your state is Michelle Ferreri is licensed in New Jersey. How do I not know his name if I know Michelle Ferreri is licensed in New Jersey? Someone on the chat. Right there. Someone in the chat. Michelle Ferreri. Anyway. Yeah, so no, and see, here's where put up Provolone John's comment here. I sound like the ultimate fair weather fan. No, you know what I am, Provolone John? I'm an honest fan. And shout out to everybody out there that's watching on TV, Xfinity, Samsung Plus, and Roku and everybody else. Move all over to allphly.com to watch the rest of the program because we are now in overtime. There you go. That's awesome. Am I back now, or is there still there? We're back. First time we're doing that. So we actually hit that pretty well, Tyler. Thank you. Now the problem is my daughter came up with the graphic or the actual overtime thing right there. I felt like I was in a Super Mario Brothers from 1988. So it's not about supporting my teams. It's not about being fans of my teams. When you're disgusted in the direction of your franchise and you're disgusted in the current situation of the team, not the players, the team, then at least me, I unplug myself from the team. Not that I'm not rooting for them, but it doesn't make me a fair weather fan to now say I'm not paying attention to the 76ers for the rest of the season and kind of right now like I'm out on the 76ers. Now, if they were to win a title, guess what? It wouldn't mean as much to me. If the Flyers won a Stanley Cup, I would love it. I'd be very happy. It would be a fun ride for the city. It wouldn't mean as much to me as it would to the diehards that show up every year, that show up every season, whether or not they believe they're going to win or they're not going to believe that they win, right? It's not going to mean as much to me if the Sixers win a title. Phillies win a World Series, it's going to mean the world to me. When the Eagles win a Super Bowl, it meant the world to me. So every fan reacts differently. It doesn't make me a fair weather fan. It just makes me honest. When the Flyers are in the playoffs, I'm not gonna act like I know a lot about the Flyers unless I actually know a lot about the Flyers. You're not gonna see me doing fake digital TV, radio, or whatever. So sorry, Provolone John. You could torture your freaking self with this team and watch the rest of the games. All right, Tyler. So the ballpark selections here in overtime. We'll do the story. The ballpark selections this year. You know, it's right around this time every year because it is opening day in Major League Baseball in Japan. Do we have a score here? I guess I should have looked up the score here before.
Yeah, it was 4-1. Dodgers won.
So it's a 6 o'clock start, 6 a.m. start because they're in Japan. We can talk more about this tomorrow because they play 2 games over there. But anyway, so they bust out some of the selections at Joe Cordell. That's it. Yeah, Joe Cordell. I'm not licensed in your state, but that's okay. Yeah, so they bust out the new items that they put on their menu, right? So for the most part, and I go to at least a couple of Phillies games every year, and like I'm a Shake Shack guy. I go to Shake Shack pretty much every time I'm there. The Manco and Manco pizza that they have at the ballpark out in the outfield is an absolute disgrace, and someone should spray paint the Manco and Manco so it doesn't say it. And I don't actually mean that because someone could do that and I get blamed. But it's not Manco and Manco pizza. It's not what you get down on the Ocean City Boardwalk. It's not even a cheap imitation. It's not. And they shouldn't be able to brand it like that and whatever. But like it's pizza, so it's whatever. But like they have some decent food. There's certainly enough food down at Citizens Bank Park to enjoy yourself and have something good to eat. So they've introduced this. And Tyler stated before the show, and he's right, this is unlike any other thing that they've had on the menu. And it is a s'mores quesadilla. It's Nutella, mini marshmallows, and graham cracker crumble in a crisp flour tortilla, served in a chocolate dipping sauce. And it's $11.49, which, like everything's $11.49 or more. All right, so it actually looks good. Obviously, that's the picture for the marketing of it. It'll never look like that at the ballpark. But listen, am I going to buy it? No. Maybe. Probably not. But it looks like that if someone handed it to me, I'd say, I'll take a couple bites of that. Tyler, are you interested?
So this is actually, and by the way, John, you have kids. You're going to buy it.
Well, they like the ice cream sundae.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say it's dessert, right? Kids love dessert.
Well, last year they ran out of helmets.
Oh, no.
And they were giving out like a Fanatic cup, which was like the cup's cool, but still, we came for the
you want the helmet.
The mini helmets. Yes.
So I think this is an interesting menu item because it's something entirely different. And I said this to you before the show. I think that it's going to sell in April and early May when it's chilly. Feels like it's kind of one of those fall sit by a fire type of snacks. I don't know how this is going to sell in July when it's 95 degrees and you're sweating, sitting under the sun in a Sunday day game. I don't know if it sells then or not, but it's an interesting item. I think it could be good. You're right. It's never going to look like it does in the advertisement, but that's kind of the case with all foods, right?
Could be good.
It might be tasty. It's probably super sweet.
When I'm slugging down a 52-ounce Miller Lite in July, I won't be getting one of those.
Yeah, your $47 Miller Lite.
Hey, here's what, the worst item you can get at the ballpark are those big cans. Because that's really you unless you're going and getting a draft beer or something. I don't even know if I like the aluminum cans. I like the Coors Light or the Miller Lite aluminum cans because they're cold. If you get one of those big seltzers or beers, because they sell such a high volume of them, they're never cold. So you're getting one that's like give me a nice cool one. Not a nice.
Yeah, and then by the time you get halfway through the beer, it's warm. It's warm beer.
The first couple sips are relatively cold, but then that's it, and it sucks. So now you have $15 worth of a beer or a seltzer that you don't even want to drink. You want to throw out, right? So I hate that. At the World Series when they were in Houston, I bought a freaking $26. I bought two $26. What are the claws, the White Claws for me and Ike. I was like, because we were, it was late. It was probably 8th inning, and it's we need one more, and we were hammered. The thing was so warm. Oh my God, I can still taste it to this day, man. It was a mango White Claw. I got 2 of them. They literally just put them in the case. They should have never sold them. Oh my God. What I should have done is ask for an ice. Yo, you got to give me a cup of ice. I'm pouring this over ice. Because when I go to the beach, I put the seltzers on ice. I'll bring the Yeti, the big Stanleys, and just fill that sucker up with ice. And then you can pour it right. I see you haven't been with me for a summer.
I have not. No. Well, we started in September, so we were kind of.
I get hammered at the beach by 10 a.m. If you gave me field sobriety, I'm failing and I'm going to jail. Legitimately. I'm not operating a vehicle, but I'm 3 seltzers, or I love the Moscow Mules.
Okay.
And they're packed with booze. They're like 11%. You put them on ice for like 2 of them. Oh my God, man. All of them, like, God, then you're like, all right, I gotta stop because I have kids here. I don't want them to like lose them or something. So anyway, well, there you go. We'll give it a shot. All right, Ant's live right now. We actually have a meeting with the suits of the company. The director of content for PHLY, Jamie Lynch, who has an office, and it's the biggest office in the place, will be waiting for Tyler Zuli and myself for a 9:30 meeting. That is coming up. We will give the cliff notes. Tyler's taking minutes for I believe, Tyler, aren't you in charge of minutes for the meeting?
Yeah, I think I do everything.
All right.
Yeah, I run all of the...
Yes, well, you take copious notes, and we'll relate them to the audience tomorrow. Shout out to everybody out there watching on YouTube. Appreciate you. Yeah, we'll go a little bit deeper. Who knows? Maybe when we get in Philly season, we get closer to the Eagles season, maybe the show expands for a little bit. Shout out to you for watching live every morning at 8 a.m. We're here for you every morning, Philly with John Marks, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Get involved in the chat. Get involved with the show. We appreciate you. You can listen to the audio-only podcast whenever you want and wherever you find your podcast. Just search Philly with John Marks. And make sure you're subscribing and liking on YouTube. Rate and review on the audio podcast. We appreciate it greatly. We'll talk to everybody live at 8 a.m. tomorrow. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.